Under normal circumstances, with these three coordinating attacks, it'd be a guaranteed victory. Yet when pitted against Granbell, he seemed to be handling it all with ease. What's worse was that Granbell seemed uninterested in interrupting Nicholas's chanting, and instead, used smooth and almost ballet-like strikes against the three. There was not a shred of panic on his face. He barely broke a sweat taking on the three's attacks. He's on a completely different level, I thought to myself. Nicholas's chanting had entered its final verse. He used the chanting to interfere with the physical world, and expanded layers of magic circles. Trapped in a prison of light formed by magic circles and mantra, Granbell remained completely unfazed. When the casting of disintegration was complete, there was no way anyone could defend against the beam of light. The beam would shatter even the soul of the target at lightning speed. Or at least, this was how it should have worked. Yet this common sense was shattered. Very fine chanting. Perhaps this is the best example of one's understanding of the flow of magic. Granbell said in an incredibly cruel tone. The arrogance in his tone sounded like something a teacher would say to a student. And then, hearing his words, Hinata's face turned pale as she muttered, "Could it be?" She seemed to have realized something, but wasn't quick enough to inform Nicholas. Disintegration. A beam of light flashed and went straight for Granbell, but to everyone's surprise, its trajectory changed and was absorbed by the sword in Granbell's hand. It happened all too fast. Even with senses accelerated to 1,000,000 times greater than normal, one would still have a hard time capturing this detail. Yet I knew full well what had just happened. Because I had seen that same exact technique used before. It was the ultimate holy sword art, the strongest technique developed by Hinata. Everyone, spread out. Heeding Hinata's order, the combatants reacted quickly. The swiftness of their actions did not dishonor their titles, yet they were still too slow. Granbell struck with Slash. This act alone sent out a fan-like shockwave. Hinata dashed out at that instant and blocked Granbell's sword in front of him. Her movement was impressively fast, but that alone was not enough to block Granbell's attack entirely. Hinata took the Slash head-on, and was sent flying into Nicholas. She was fine herself, but Nicholas sustained heavy injuries. Had Hinata's sword not been the legendary Great Moonlight Rapier, both of them would have been obliterated. The three captains were sent flying away by the shockwave as well, and had been lying on the ground since. It looked like that hit knocked them all out. Are you guys alright? Hinata shouted. It went without saying that no one responded. Hinata glared at Granbell while some anxiety showed on her face. Even the usually calm and composed Hinata didn't expect Granbell to be so strong. The one to answer her question was Granbell, who was meant to be her opponent. It seems that I didn't manage to kill anyone. Looks like my skill has weakened over the years. You should thank that demon lord too. What are you talking about? Hinata turned her eyes to me and regained her cool upon realizing something. I see, it was you who saved us. Thanks a lot, Rimuru. You're welcome. I nodded slightly to Hinata. Indeed, it was thanks to my help that the captains were only knocked out. When I realized what was coming, I activated absolute defense. Otherwise, the three would probably have been obliterated. I thought that I could block the attack perfectly, but that turned out to be wishful thinking. The absolute defense of Ultimate Skill Covenant King Uriel could block any attack. Although, there were exceptions. For instance, Yuki's anti-skill. I couldn't get overly deep in dent on it, though its defensive properties were high enough to be trusted. However, even when it was a perfect skill to use on myself, when applied to someone else, in fact, multiple other people, its precision took a hit. For me, it was okay even if some attacks landed, since I had my infinite regeneration. Any injuries would be quickly regenerated, meaning I could achieve perfect defense. But it was different for the three captains. This small amount of shockwave that slipped through my absolute defense sent them to death's doorstep. It was an extremely close call. I never expected anyone other than me to master Slash. That was surprising. What an arrogant thought, Hinata. With enough time and practice, many can reach your level. I mean, I could use it too. Although it was thanks to Raphael-san's liberal use of analyze and assess. By the way, the condition for utilizing Slash was to first master disintegration. If there truly were several people who managed to reach that level, then I would have to be impressed by humanity. Actually, now that I thought about it carefully, there was indeed a possibility. There was the hero who managed to seal the door. Therefore, there was nothing strange about the existence of powerful humans. Now that I had become a demon lord, it was best that I watch my back around them. But now wasn't the time to have idle thoughts. And to the Holy Knight captains. You were a bit too useless, ending up on the verge of death after that week of an attack. In any case, you guys cannot even begin to compare to the master swordsman of the past, much less stand against me, Granbell proclaimed, sounding like he was convinced about his words. In essence, he declared in front of Hinata that she wasn't on his level. What a pathetic joke. I'll trouble you to be my opponent now. Hinata sneered in reply. Apparently, she'd gotten serious as well. I wouldn't have a chance to take the stage, or so I thought, but I was once again caught up in wishful thinking. A huge explosion went off inside the Grand Cathedral. Is that Razzle? I ordered him to destroy the Grand Cathedral, and it looks like he's doing it rather flamboyantly. What? You bastard. The children and the band members were all inside the Grand Cathedral. Even though I ordered Xian, Diablo, and the other guards there, if they were to start fighting inside, some people may be affected as a result. I wanted to take care of Granbell as soon as possible, and to do that I'd need to get rid of these hindering enemies first. After settling on the idea, I decided to teleport back to the Grand Cathedral. Yet I was interrupted by Granbell, Demon Lord Rimuru. These people shall be your opponents. Some of them may be your countrymen, but do enjoy yourself now. Several individuals under Granbell's command showed up. The word countryman was a bit too worrying. I immediately caught on what he had meant. Their ages varied and consisted of different ethnicities too. At first, the composition seemed to be disorganized, but they all shared one common point in core, and that was that every single one of them possessed a magical content far exceeding the average person's. Otherworlders, huh? I see, no wonder some of them may be Japanese like me as well. There's no time to idle around, since more than 10 Otherworlders were charging at me simultaneously. It looked like they were controlled by a curse like Glenda. Even their free will seemed to have been deprived. Under this state, even if I were to break their curse, they probably wouldn't stop, either. But, Kukuku, do you truly intend to fight them? These people are only being manipulated by me, you know. What a cunning man. He told me this deliberately, probably thinking it would keep me from making a move. Well, I didn't want to give up like this. I had to admit that it was a very effective method. I heard that you go soft very easily. Are you hesitant to extend your killing hand to the innocent? Or will you see this as warfare and choose to defend yourself? Either way is fine. Granbell merely considered the summoned Otherworlders as his weapons. In truth, they were just like simple consumable items to him. Even if I were to kill them all, he would probably act just like how he proclaimed, completely untroubled. What a very difficult opponent. He had done some extensive research on me. If he were to run into people like Diablo or Xian, they would have cleaned house without hesitation. Considering from that perspective, I wasn't sure if it was good or bad that the one facing these enemies was me. Ah, damn it. So troublesome. There was no time for complaints. If I didn't act fast enough, the children would be in danger, and the casualties would increase too. At this point, there was only one way out. It was complicated, but I could manage, dispelling their curse one by one, and knocking them out non-lethally. With that, I was roped into battle as well. A fellow Japanese person launched an attack at me. Some of these Otherworlders might actually not be from Earth. Was it possible that they came from some other planet or dimension? Perhaps these thoughts indicated that I'd regained some of my cool. Otherworlders had very strong constitutions, and they may possess some unknown special abilities. It went without saying that they were dangerous, but they posed no threat against me right now. Even if I were completely unguarded, they wouldn't have been able to harm me, even if they sent the Glenda. That's just how overpowered when absolute defense was combined with infinite regeneration. While they were difficult to handle, they were just that. I could probably manage to paralyze them all given some time, and without harming them during the process. I wasn't underestimating my enemies. This was just my genuine thought. After all, I had Wisdom King Raphael-san. I wouldn't have the chance to underestimate my enemies. Considering this, I invested a part of its impressive calculation power to observe my surroundings. First was Hinata, who was fighting not far from me. Granbell wasn't talking anymore, but was locked in an elegant sword fight against her. Just like Hinata, he was only using a rapier. His right hand held the sword while his left hand was held behind his back. It seemed like he would only use his left hand when casting magic. Tis, have you been holding back your power as the Master of Sun? I recall that you were known to be best at fighting with bare hands in close quarters. Turns out your swordsmanship was masterful as well. I have mastered all weapons. I merely did not need to use them in the past. I see. That allowed me to wipe that casual look from your face. Hinata wasn't holding back from the beginning. It was very obvious considering she was using her moonlight rapier. What was curious was Granbell's sword. It was already unusual that he had a sword that could rival Hinata's. Answer. Regarding the grade of the sword. Analysis failed due to interference. Deduced to be above legendary grade. The analysis result was rather surprising. Lately, Raphael-san had been entirely reliable. I was rather taken aback by this turn of events. I might have underestimated Granbell a little too much. I never expected it to come to this. Could even Hinata lose to him? No, that can't be. There was no way that could happen. However, the terrifying thing was that I couldn't say for sure. Even Wisdom King Raphael-san couldn't see through the abilities of the enemy.